Welcome back to the Nuremberg Forum 2022, the International Criminal Court 2002 to 2022, a court in practice. Today we will dig into the questions we began to explore yesterday, in particular the urgent question of where we go from here. 20 years of the ICC is a drop in the bucket of what we all hope will be a long and successful life of the world's first permanent international criminal court. Before we begin, we are privileged to have another brief set of opening remarks from Dr. Thomas Dickert, President of the Higher Regional Court of Nuremberg, and Judge Piotr Hofmański, current President of the ICC. Dr. Dickert, may I please welcome you to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear ladies and gentlemen. As host of the Nuremberg Palace of Justice, I warmly welcome you to the Nuremberg Forum 2022, the International Criminal Court, from 2002 to 2022, a court in practice. Usually, welcomes and greetings take place at the beginning of an event and not on the second day of the meeting. Unfortunately, I could not be here yesterday. We, the Nuremberg judiciary, are celebrating 150 years of higher court jurisdiction in Nuremberg. And yesterday, at the same time as the opening round of the Nuremberg Forum, a reception was held by the Bavarian state government just on the western end of this building. Since the beginning of the 19th century, the Court of Appeal for the Bavarian district of Central Franconia had been in the episcopal city of Eichstätt. By royal proclamation of June the 23rd in 1871, the Court of Appeal for the local area of Central Franconia was transferred from Eichstätt to Nuremberg. At the same time, the local area of jurisdiction was extended. It then included the governorate Upper Palatine in German Oberpfalz, with its capital Regensburg and a part of Lower Bavaria. The Nuremberg Court of Appeal started its work in 1872, just 150 years ago. As a result, Nuremberg became one of the most important court locations in the Kingdom of Bavaria. At that time, Nuremberg was an ambitious industrial city with a rapidly growing population, a working-class city where machines, vehicles, and goods for everyday life were manufactured. For example, in 1835, the first railway line in Germany was built between Nuremberg and its neighboring town of Fürth. It had been the wish of the lawyers in Nuremberg that the Court of Appeal should not be located in Ansbach, where the seat of the government of Central Franconia is, or in Bamberg, but in Nuremberg, the secret capital of Bavaria. For the city of Nuremberg, the establishment of the Court of Appeal was so significant that the city of Nuremberg donated a building in the center of the old town to the judiciary. However, this building soon became too small and too shabby. Thus, by the year 1907, the planning and construction of a large palace of justice started in the neighborhood of the already existing cell prison. On September the 11th in 1916, the new Nuremberg Palace of Justice was officially opened and inaugurated by the Bavarian King Ludwig III. It is remarkable that such a large and richly decorated building could be constructed and completing during the First World War. In his opening speech, the king wished that in this building and in its courtrooms, justice should always be done without regard to the person and due to justice and the law. In the early years, this was indeed the case. But already in 1933, one of the first special courts of the National Socialists was established here in Nuremberg and in this building. And this special court proved to be particularly brutal and bloodthirsty. In the so-called judge trial, one of the follow-up Nuremberg trials, the judges of the special courts had to answer for their unlawful proceedings and verdicts. They were put on trial in the same courtroom 600 in which they had passed their unjust verdicts a few years earlier. Dear ladies and gentlemen, however, this historical background is not the reason why you are all here today. Looked at soberly, courtroom 600 is in itself a completely normal courtroom. Your stay here is owed to the fact that the main war criminal trials took place here in this room in 1945 to 1946, that it became the birthplace of international criminal law and the cradle of the International Criminal Court. This context makes courtroom 600 probably the most famous courtroom all over the world. Against this significant historical background, we have proposed that courtroom 600 should be included in the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites together with the entire Nuremberg Palace of Justice and the partially still existent historical cell prison. On August the 20th in this year, we had the opportunity to introduce our building, the courtroom, the cell prison, and the history associated with it to an international commission of experts. We don't know the result yet, but we will learn what the result is at the end of this year. Having you in front of me, I would like to ask you to kindly support our application for inclusion in the World Heritage List within the scope of your possibilities. The more recent development here in this part of the Nuremberg Palace of Justice, the so-called Ostbau, plays a significant role in the application process. The Ostbau now on the ground floor houses the International Nuremberg Principles Academy, which organizes today's conference. The Academy's area of responsibility is closely linked to the history of Courtroom 600 and the development of international criminal law in the context of the Nuremberg trials. The Museum Memorium Nuremberg Trials, which is operated by the city of Nuremberg, is also located in this building. Part of the tour of the museum is this Courtroom 600, which attracts large numbers of visitors from all over the world. It is planned to expand the museum to be able to present also the follow-up Nuremberg trials, the ad hoc tribunals, and the formation and impact of the International Criminal Court more intensively than before. In order to make all this possible, the Bavarian judiciary got a new building at the western end of our building complex, in which the reception of the state government took place yesterday. Dear ladies and gentlemen, so you see, things are on the move here in Nuremberg. We try to keep history alive and make it accessible and understandable for broad sections of the population. Today, international criminal law is more relevant and significant than ever. This will certainly be an important aspect during your conference. I wish the Nuremberg Forum 2022 a good and successful course. May you all have many stimulating lectures, discussions, and interesting encounters. Thank you very much for your attention.
I would like now to welcome Judge Hofmański to the podium. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all. I would like to thank the Nuremberg Principal Academy for organizing this forum and for inviting me to deliver some opening remarks for today. I am indeed pleased to be here. It is fitting that this year's Nuremberg Forum is built around the theme of the ICC's 20th anniversary. And I'm particularly glad that this is done in a way that creates space for substantive expert discussions rather than merely celebratory statements. We already heard some thought-provoking remarks yesterday. The topics of the program for today and tomorrow are all highly relevant to the title of the forum, A Court in Praxis. When the ICC organized its own 20th anniversary conference on the 1st of July this year, the concept of that event was guided very much by similar thinking. We did not want that conference to be just a series of lofty statements. No matter how important those can sometimes be, when they serve to galvanize commitment and political support. Instead, we design the conference to serve as a platform for a substantive exchange of thoughts and views on the different aspects of the ICC's mandate and operations. And we invited a mix of experts and speakers, including practitioners from the courts, including the defense. We invited many academics, experts in international criminal justice, and representatives of civil society, which continues to play a crucial role in the Rome Statute system. We did not invite diplomats to speak in that conference, as they have their own regular meetings in the form of the annual sessions of the Assembly of State Parties. In a way, is also underlined that courts' independence from states, which we must carefully safeguard, while, of course, appreciating all the invaluable support and cooperation that we receive from our state parties. I'm happy to mention that the interventions from the ICC's 20th anniversary conference will be published in forthcoming academic publication, which will be edited by Professor Carstenstein. All this is to say that the ICC, and I personally as its president, greatly value the academic and professional disclosure surrounding the court and its work. Such discourse is part of the parcel of a free and democratic society. It is necessary to show that all institutions, even the independent ones, such as courts, are subject to scrutiny of their stakeholders. It is necessary for raising awareness about the ICC, as well as to attract new generations of lawyers to take an interest in international criminal law. And it is necessary for the future development of international criminal justice as a living field. 2022 is not the end of the road. To further enhance the fight against impunity, we must engage in an honest exchange of views and experiences. As you all know, even the Rome Statute itself is not a set in stone. It can and has already been amended. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's a great pleasure to be here and to see many familiar faces, as well as the many people that I don't know from before, but I'm delighted to meet. In the interest of leaving more time for the panel, where I will speak again, allow me to stop here with my opening remarks. I look forward to discussion ahead of us, and thank you once again, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you to Dr. Dickert, Thank you to Dr. Dickert and Judge Hofmański for their opening remarks today.